A dark side, a shadow self, a part of us that society tells us to suppress. Nietzsche, the ultimate philosophical rebel, would tell you to do the opposite. To look that monster in the eye, to understand it, and to harness its power. Prepare for a wild ride into the depths of your own psyche. Now, Nietzsche wasn't advocating for becoming a literal monster. But he understood that within each of us lies a vast reservoir of untapped potential, both light and dark. This shadow self, as Jung would later call it, contains all the aspects of ourselves that we reject or disown. Our anger, our ambition, our sexuality, our primal instincts. Nietzsche believed that true strength comes from integrating these aspects, not denying them. The key lies in understanding them and directing their energy towards constructive ends. So, how do you become the monster you are? Nietzsche's answer is paradoxical. You don't become a monster in the conventional sense. You become more than a monster. You harness its raw energy, its untamed power, and channel it towards self-overcoming, towards becoming the Übermensch, the self-created individual who embraces the full spectrum of human experience. This process of self-overcoming involves a radical acceptance of all aspects of oneself, including those that are typically considered undesirable. Nietzsche famously critiqued what he called the last man, the complacent, conformist individual who seeks only comfort and security. He saw the repression of the monster as a key characteristic of the last man, a fear of anything that disrupts the comfortable mediocrity of the herd. He believed that true greatness comes from embracing the challenges and the darkness within, rather than seeking to avoid them. The last man, in Nietzsche's view, represents a kind of spiritual stagnation, a refusal to confront the complexities and contradictions of existence. He saw this as a dangerous trend in modern society, a tendency towards conformity and a rejection of individual striving. You feel a constant undercurrent of anger, frustration, or resentment that you can't quite express. Nietzsche would tell you that this repressed energy is part of your monster, and it needs to be acknowledged and channeled, not suppressed. He believed that these emotions are not inherently negative, but rather powerful forces that can be used to fuel creativity and drive. The key is to understand the source of these emotions and to find healthy ways to express them, rather than allowing them to fester and become destructive. You have big dreams, but you're afraid to pursue them, afraid of failure, afraid of what others might think. Nietzsche would challenge you to embrace your ambition, to let your monster drive you towards your goals, regardless of the risks. You have desires that society deems unacceptable, and you feel shame or guilt about them. Nietzsche would urge you to examine these desires, to understand their origins, and to decide for yourself whether they are truly harmful or simply unconventional. He believed that society often imposes arbitrary moral codes that serve to suppress natural human impulses. He encouraged individuals to question these codes and to develop their own ethical frameworks based on their own values and experiences. You prioritize comfort and security above all else, avoiding any risk or challenge. Nietzsche would see this as a sign of weakness, a fear of embracing the full intensity of life. He believed that true fulfillment comes from confronting challenges and pushing ourselves beyond our comfort zones. He saw the pursuit of comfort and security as a form of self-limitation, a refusal to engage with the full range of human experience. You constantly seek approval from others, defining your self-worth by their opinions. Nietzsche would urge you to find your validation within yourself, to become your own source of strength and self-acceptance. He believed that relying on external validation is a sign of weakness and a form of self-deception. He encouraged individuals to develop their own internal standards of value and to strive for self-approval, rather than seeking the approval of others. We live in a world that often celebrates conformity and condemns anything that deviates from the norm. Nietzsche, with his characteristic irony, would probably chuckle at this hypocrisy. He understood that true individuality often involves embracing aspects of ourselves that society deems monstrous. He saw this as a fundamental contradiction in human nature, the tension between our desire for conformity and our need for self-expression. So, how do we unleash this monster within? Does it mean becoming a villain? Absolutely not. It's about something far more profound, something that can lead to true self-mastery and a life lived with unparalleled intensity and purpose. It's about acknowledging the full spectrum of our being, both light and dark, and channeling that energy towards self-creation and self-overcoming. It's about transforming our so-called negative traits into sources of strength and creativity. Nietzsche's philosophy is often misunderstood as advocating for ruthless individualism. But even within his seemingly harsh worldview, there are glimpses of a deeper understanding of human connection and the importance of self-acceptance. He wasn't advocating for a world of isolated individuals, each pursuing their own selfish desires. Instead, he envisioned a society of strong, self-reliant individuals who could relate to each other with mutual respect and admiration. Nietzsche's concept of beyond good and evil wasn't a license for cruelty. It was a call for self-honesty, for acknowledging the full spectrum of our being, both light and dark. He urged individuals to question the conventional moral codes that are imposed upon them by society and to develop their own ethical frameworks based on their own unique values and experiences. This emphasis on individual responsibility and self-determination is a central theme in his philosophy. The will to power, in its most refined form, is not about dominating others, but about mastering yourself. It's about channeling your monster's energy towards self-overcoming, towards becoming the best version of yourself. Nietzsche believed that the greatest challenge we face is not the struggle against external forces, but the internal struggle to overcome our own weaknesses and limitations. The true expression of the will to power lies in the pursuit of self-improvement and the creation of something meaningful that contributes to the world. Nietzsche valued authenticity above all else. He despised hypocrisy and self-deception. Even if your monster has dark impulses, Nietzsche would respect your honesty in acknowledging them. He believed that it was better to be true to oneself, even if that meant embracing aspects of one's nature that are considered undesirable by society, than to live a lie and conform to the expectations of others. This emphasis on honesty and self-awareness is a crucial aspect of his philosophy. While Nietzsche wasn't a sentimentalist, he recognized the importance of deep connections with others. He valued friendships based on mutual respect and the shared pursuit of self-overcoming. Love, for Nietzsche, wasn't about weakness or self-sacrifice, but about a powerful affirmation of life in all its intensity. He saw genuine connection as a rare and precious thing, a meeting of two strong and independent individuals who inspire and challenge each other to grow. He believed that true love should be a source of strength and empowerment, rather than a form of dependence or self-denial. Nietzsche wasn't a fan of self-pity or dwelling on past wrongs. He would likely encourage us to forgive ourselves and others, not out of weakness, but out of a desire to move forward, to harness the energy of our monster for creation and self-improvement. He saw resentment and bitterness as destructive emotions that hinder our ability to live fully and to create something meaningful. Forgiveness, in his view, is not about condoning wrongdoing, but about releasing the emotional baggage that prevents us from moving on and embracing the future. Self-compassion, for Nietzsche, might be about accepting our flaws and imperfections as part of the human condition, as fuel for our journey towards self-overcoming. He recognized that we are all flawed beings, capable of both great good and great evil. Instead of dwelling on our shortcomings, he would encourage us to accept ourselves as we are, with all our imperfections, and to strive to become better versions of ourselves. This acceptance of our own humanity is a crucial step towards self-overcoming. Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, often misunderstood as a call for a master race, is actually a vision of self-transcendence. It's about becoming a free-spirited individual who has embraced their inner darkness, channeled its energy, and transcended their limitations, becoming a self-created, life-affirming force. The Übermensch is not a superior being, but a symbol of human potential, a vision of what we can become if we dare to break free from the constraints of conventional morality and embrace the full spectrum of our being. Nietzsche's philosophy isn't a simple guide to becoming a monster. It's a complex and challenging framework for understanding the human condition. It emphasizes the importance of self-awareness, of acknowledging the full spectrum of our being, both light and dark, and of channeling our energies towards self-overcoming. It requires a deep introspection, a willingness to confront our own shadows, and a commitment to personal growth and transformation. So what's the takeaway? Should you embrace your inner darkness and become a villain? Absolutely not. But perhaps you can learn something from the intensity of that monster's energy, its unwavering drive, its refusal to be constrained by societal norms. Harness that energy not to destroy but to create, to overcome, to become more. He encourages us to find our own unique expression of the will to power, to pursue our own passions and goals with unwavering determination, and to create a life that is both meaningful and fulfilling. As Nietzsche himself said, that which does not kill us makes us stronger. Embrace your inner monster, understand its power, and channel it towards becoming the Übermensch of your own life. He invites us to embrace the difficulties and hardships that we encounter, to learn from our failures, and to emerge from these experiences stronger and more resilient. The journey towards self-overcoming is not always easy, but it is ultimately the path towards true strength and fulfillment. Furthermore, Nietzsche's concept of embracing the monster within is deeply intertwined with his idea of the eternal recurrence, a thought experiment that asks us to imagine living our lives exactly as they are over and over again for eternity. This challenging notion forces us to confront whether we truly affirm every aspect of our existence, including the dark and uncomfortable parts. If we recoil from the monster within us, can we truly embrace the eternal recurrence? Nietzsche suggests that true self-affirmation requires accepting the entirety of our being, the good and the bad, the light and the shadow. Moreover, the process of becoming the monster you are, in Nietzsche's sense, involves a radical break from the herd mentality. It's about forging your own values, creating your own meaning, and refusing to be defined by the expectations of others. This requires a significant degree of courage and independence, a willingness to stand alone and to challenge conventional wisdom. The monster, in this context, represents that untamed, individualistic spirit that refuses to be domesticated by societal norms. Nietzsche also emphasizes the importance of overcoming nihilism, the belief that life is without objective meaning, purpose, or intrinsic value. By embracing the full spectrum of our being, including the so-called monstrous aspects, we can generate our own meaning and purpose. The monster becomes a source of raw, vital energy that can be channeled into creative endeavors, personal growth, and the affirmation of life itself. This act of self-creation, of forging meaning in a meaningless universe, is a central aspect of Nietzsche's philosophy. It's crucial to understand that Nietzsche's call to embrace the monster is not a call to unleash destructive impulses without restraint. Rather, it's an invitation to understand these impulses, to acknowledge their power, and to consciously direct them towards self-mastery and the creation of something valuable. It's about transforming raw energy into refined strength, about channeling the chaotic potential of the monster into creative and life-affirming actions. This process requires self-awareness, discipline, and a commitment to continuous self-overcoming. Ultimately, becoming the monster you are, according to Nietzsche, is about achieving a profound level of self-acceptance and self-ownership. It's about integrating all aspects of your being, the light and the shadow, the socially acceptable and the unconventional, and harnessing that integrated power to create a life of meaning, purpose, and intense affirmation. It's a challenging and lifelong journey, but one that Nietzsche believed was essential for true self-realization and the overcoming of the limitations imposed by societal norms and the fear of our own inner depths. It's about becoming a force of nature, a self-created individual who embraces the full, complex, and sometimes monstrous reality of their own being.